back, everybody. So today we are learning about our Unit 5 market structures. There are 4 market structures that we're going to be chatting about. Those 4 are, let me see if I can remember them: perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. In that order. By the way, that is the order of competition when we are talking about them. If I am correct, I'm pretty sure that this study guide has a chart in it that is extremely important when it comes to learning about the market structures. Now, this unit is nowhere near as difficult as Unit 4, so why don't you take a minute and pat yourself on the back for making it through Unit 4, because even if you weren't as successful as you wanted to be, you still made it through. Hallelujah, blessed be. So, today we're going to learn about market structures and analyzing them. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a thinking activity, okay? So, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to review the scenarios on the next slide. What I want you to do is I want you to pause this video when I get to that, read through them, decide which one you would want to start, which new business you'd want to start, and give 2 reasons why. And these reasons, obviously, I'm not going to see them. You're just writing them for yourself. But I'm interested to see what you say, okay? Here are your options. The first option, you're going to open a new video game store in a small town that has many other successful video game stores. 2, begin the first and only babysitting service in your neighborhood. 3, start a music store in a small town that only has 2 other music stores. Or 4, create a unique clothing line that targets teens. Look how stylish she is. Why wouldn't you want to? So go ahead, pause it, answer those 2 questions, decide which one you'd want to be. I'm going to keep talking now. So there isn't a correct answer to this. There is no correct answer to this. It just depends on the kind of market structure that you want to get involved in. A perfect competition is represented by the first one I read to you, opening a video game store in a small town with many other successful video game stores. That is a perfect competition, and we'll get to the definition of that in a moment. The second one on there, begin the first and only babysitting service in your neighborhood, that is a monopoly. Those are the 2 complete opposites on the spectrum. And then the third one, start a music store in a small town that has only 2 other music stores, that is an oligopoly. And then the last one, create a unique clothing line that targets teenagers, is a monopolistic competition. So I would say the most challenging structure that students have struggled with in the past is monopolistic competition, because they confuse it a lot with monopoly. They're not really the same thing, so it's great. Okay, moving on. So it's all about what factors influence your decision, and it's about the level of competition you want in a market. Depending on the type of market you're in, your business is going to behave differently, and they operate differently under different structures. So here are the things we're looking for each market characteristic, and we are going to go through all of the markets, all 4 of the markets, and we're going to answer how many number of firms in that market, type of product in that market, barriers to entry, is it easy to enter or is it harder to enter? Are there a lot of people or little people? Price setting power, how much power do you have over what the price is? It'll all make more sense in a moment once we start going over the actual specific market structures. So this is the table I was referring to right here, that table right there. So I would highly recommend, again, pausing this and writing this in your notebook. You need this chart. I believe there's a filled-in chart at the end that you can just like copy down into your notebook, but for right now, you're gonna want this. So, okay, perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, monopoly. That's exactly the spectrum. I'm hoping the next slide is the spectrum. Shows you the spectrum, no? Yes, here we go. This is the spectrum I was talking about. So the spectrum starts on the, I guess, this side for you guys. On the more competitive side is perfect competition, and on the least competitive side is monopoly, and in between that are oligopoly and monopolistic competition. Now, a perfect competition. So, I know I've used this example before, but let's say we're selling zucchinis. I grow zucchinis in my backyard, and so does my neighbor Sue. And we both are selling our zucchinis. Okay. Well, what would make a zucchini different from another zucchini? Maybe size, but they're both zucchinis. Okay, great. So if she prices her zucchinis at $1.50 a piece, what would make sense for me to charge for my zucchini? Would it make sense for me to charge $1.75 per zucchini if she's charging $1.50? No, because in general, everyone's going to go buy her zucchinis because they're cheaper. The smart thing for me to do would either be sell it at the same price or to sell it for a less price. You don't have price controls in this perfect competition. You don't have control over price. You can't really set the price at whatever you want it to be because you have to follow what the market is saying that it's selling for. If you're in a very high market that a lot of people are a part of, the biggest examples are agriculture, farming are perfect competitions because it's hard to compete with other farmers when your product is essentially you're selling zucchinis or bell peppers or whatever you're selling. It's extremely hard to differentiate at all. So a perfect competition, many people producing identical products. Entry is easy. I can start a garden in my backyard and enter the market right now. And so entry is extremely easy. You can sign up and go to a farmer's market and sell your stuff. And then the last one, there's no control over prices. You have zero control over prices. If you want to sell your strawberries, if you have strawberries, like a bucket of strawberries, and you want to sell them for $3, but your competition has them selling for $2 a bucket, you're not going to sell any unless they run out. But you're competing against them. So you're going to end up setting the price at what your competitors are setting at. It's very competitive, a perfect competition. Okay. A monopoly is on the complete other end of the spectrum, complete other end. It is the complete opposite of a perfect competition. So a monopoly is one producer. One single person owns the entire industry. And they have unique products. It is nearly impossible to enter this market. It is extremely difficult to enter this market because it is a monopoly and only one person owns it. And then monopolies have the most control over their pricing because they are the only option. You only have one option, so you can charge what you want for it. Prescription drugs is a great example. An excellent example would be EpiPens or inhalers. The prices on some of them are absolutely ridiculous, but if you need it to live, they know that you're going to pay for it. And there's only one option for it, so you need that one. So, is it ethical? No, not necessarily, but it's a monopoly. That's why there's such argument over prescription drugs. Because the EpiPen and inhalers, you need them to live. If you have asthma and if you are deathly allergic to something, you need them to save your life. And prescription drug, the pharmaceutical companies know that, and they will gouge the heck out of it because they know you need it to live and you'll pay the amount because your life is worth it. So Comcast cable TV is a ridiculous price. It's really hard to find any kind of cable TV that's really very much of a different price. And then water, there's really only one option when you choose what kind of water you're going to have in the city you live in. Monopoly, one producer, unique products, high barriers to entry, very difficult to enter, nearly impossible, and you have all of the price control. You can control the price because you're the only one. Okay. Monopolistic competition. Okay, so this is on the more competitive side. It comes right after perfect competition. The difference is it's a market with many producers offering similar but slightly different products. Shoes, clothing, restaurant markets. Okay? If a perfect competition is farming and agriculture, the next space up would be, well, we're selling similar stuff, but it's not exactly the same. It's slightly different. So clothing, shoes, and restaurant, so on and so forth. An example would be pretty much any mall you go to. They have many options for you to shop at. It just is based on your preference and what you want. Like, I really like to shop at Gap and Old Navy, but I know there are a lot of people out there watching this right now who are probably like, ooh, Gap and Old Navy? Ooh, my mom shops there. Yeah, okay. But that's the thing, is they all sell clothes that you can wear. It just depends on the person's preference. Same with restaurants. Same with fast food. They sell similar stuff, but it just depends on your preference of what you enjoy more. There's many producers. You can differentiate the products to be fit your own, but you're still competing against others. And there are few barriers to entry. If I wanted to, I could go sell clothes. There are some things you have to do in order to enter that market, but it's not a whole lot. You could do it pretty easily. And then you have some controls over price. Like, if you're a really high-end clothing brand, you have more control over price because you have a name brand. But if you're selling similar clothes to other stores, you're going to end up pricing around the same, but you have a little bit more leeway. Okay? Okay. This one is the other one that students, this probably mix up a lot. So an oligopoly lies in the less competitive end of the spectrum. It's between, so it goes perfect competition, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, monopoly. Okay. It's my cat. I'm sorry. He's hungry right now and he's really mad at me for ignoring him. We'll see what he does. Anyways, so oligopoly, it is a smaller market with few producers. So an example would be a soft drink market, aircraft, airplane, auto industry. Okay, very few. The example I like to give is it usually has like 3 producers or less, sometimes 4, but not really, 3 or less. Okay, very few producers, similar products. There is a high barrier to enter. It is tough. It's kind of tough to get into this industry because it's very competitive to an extent to get in. Like, it's a little bit competitive, but at the same time, it's just high barriers to entry. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to get into this industry. And then some control over prices. Since there are less people, you have a little bit more control, but at the same time, you don't want to price too high because your competition is still there. There's still a slight competition. Examples, car industry and the pop industry, soda industry. Coca-Cola and Pepsi, everyone has their diehards. Like, they're diehards. Like, if you're a Coke person, you're a Coke person. If you're a Pepsi person, you're a Pepsi person. I am a Coke person. Come for me. I don't care. And I buy Coke. I try to buy Coke every time. If I went to the store to pick out a soda, it would be Coke. It would not be Pepsi. And same with cars. There are some people who are die-hard, like, I'm a Ford person. I'm a Chevy person. Chevy for life. Like, you know that competition that happens between which truck is better, which car is better, and that is an oligopoly. There's few producers and with similar products. So that is the main thing with an oligopoly. I could explain this whole graphing situation to you. It's just a whole lot of this is an activity that we're not doing, so that's great. Okay, back to the chart. So here's the deal. Here's what I would do. Number of producers. Let me see if I have, hold on. Okay, at the bottom of this website, our econ website, at the bottom here, there's something called MS Notes, Market Structure Notes. And this is where you're going to find the chart that I'm referring to and how it's entered in here. Highly, highly recommend writing this down in your notebook and having it available. It will make test taking and it will make everything a lot easier for you to understand. Now, there's more that goes into this, like antitrust laws, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into those right now. You can look those up in your textbook. Just know the general definition of them and patents and so on and so forth. But yeah, so I really hope this helped you. Let me know if you have any other questions about this, and have a great day.